This story comes from an old friend of mine, Tim, who lives in an isolated cabin deep within the Arctic Circle. According to him, there's a beast that stalks the wasteland of ice and snow, a creature that shimmers and glows like a mirage under the pale moonlight. What's most terrifying is it seems to be intelligent and somehow connected to the northern lights themselves. This is his story. The wind moans across the tundra, biting and cruel. But tonight it carries a new sound, a low mournful howl that cuts through the frigid air. It echoes off the ice sheets, reverberating across the endless white expanse. From the depths of my lonely cabin, I shiver not just from the cold, but from a primal fear that echoes back from a time when such sounds were a warning to our ancestors. They called it the Frost Howler, a phantom creature said to roam these wastes in the dead of night. My father told me tales of it when I was young, stories whispered by the firelight that painted vivid pictures of a beast so terrifying it could shatter your soul with a single glance. Of course, I dismissed them then as just another myth, another chilling yarn to keep the children inside during the long dark nights. But now, alone in this frozen wilderness, with only the wind for company, those childhood tales echo in my mind. The howl rises again, closer this time, and I know I am not alone in the vast emptiness. The Frost Howler is here. I pull on my heavy boots and coat, each layer a barrier between me and the icy wasteland outside. The temperature gauge on the cabin reads a heart-stopping 40 below. But the biting cold does little to still the pounding of my heart. Years of scientific training tell me there's no need for fear. There's no wild animal that could produce such a sound. No, sir, not in all of North Slope. And yet the haunting wail pierces my very being, primal and unforgettable. I step out into the swirling snow, squinting against the biting wind. The moon is a silver sickle in the sky, casting long, eerie shadows across the landscape. And then I see it, a shape moving on the horizon, something large and luminous, gliding silently through the swirling snow. My breath catches in my throat as the creature steps into the moonlight, a wolf. No, not just any wolf. This creature is massive, its fur matted and thick, its eyes glowing orbs of emerald fire. But what truly steals my breath is its fur, shimmering and translucent, glowing with an otherworldly blue light. It is the Frost Howler. The creature seems to sense my gaze upon it, for it pauses and turns, its head a pale blur against the dark sky. Its eyes lock onto mine, and for a moment, time stands still. I feel a strange pull, a magnetic force drawing me towards the creature. Then it vanishes back into the swirling snow, leaving me alone in the silent, starred sky. I shake off the lingering chill of fear and pull back into the cabin. The temperature gauge has dropped another 10 degrees. Was it the creature? I wonder, or just the wind. I spend the rest of the night researching local folklore, hoping to find some rational explanation for what I saw. But the more I read, the deeper into the abyss of mystery I fall. The Frost Howler is said to be a spirit of the Arctic, a guardian of the ice and snow. Some believe it is the very essence of the northern lights, a being of pure energy and light that takes on a wolf-like form when it walks the earth. Others say it is the protector of the dead, a spectral hound that guides lost souls to their final resting place. Each tale adds another layer to the enigma, deepening the mystery and feeding my unease. As dawn breaks, I pull on my warmest clothes and venture out into the blinding white expanse. The temperature has risen slightly, and the wind seems to whisper secrets to the swaying snowdrifts. Footprints. I see footprints in the fresh snow, large and strangely regular, like those of a wolf, yet undeniably humanoid. They lead away from the cabin and into the vast emptiness of the tundra. I follow, my pace quickening with every step. The tracks lead to a rise in the land, a small hill overlooking a vast expanse of ice-jammed sea. The sky is alive with shimmering auroras, dancing ribbons of green and violet light weaving across the heavens. And there it is, the glowing howler, standing silhouetted against the ethereal backdrop. It turns, its eyes locking onto mine, and I feel that magnetic pull once more, drawing me closer. But this time I resist, my feet rooted to the spot by a potent mix of fear and fascination. The creature takes a step back, its translucent fur rippling like water, and then it leaps. It seems to float across the air, its body a blur of motion before it lands soundlessly on the ice sheet below. Then it turns and disappears over the horizon, melting into the swirling snow. With a heavy heart, I turn back, retracing my steps to the cabin. The howling wind seems to mock my defeat, and I can't shake the feeling that I have stumbled upon something profound, something that defies human understanding. Back in the warmth of the cabin, I pore over old books and journals, searching for answers in the faded ink and brittle pages. One entry catches my eye, a report from an explorer who witnessed the northern lights dancing wildly in the sky above the Frost Howler's footprints. Could there be a connection between the two, between the ethereal glow of the lights and the shimmering wolf? I ponder. Days turn into weeks, and the memory of the Frost Howler becomes a haunting presence in my solitude. Then one night, the wind whispers a familiar haunting tune, and there in the darkness, I see it again, the ghost of the Arctic wastelands. It runs across the tundra, a phantom creature of ice and light. And as it runs, the northern lights flare and dance in response, painting the sky with hues of emerald and gold. In that moment, I realize the truth. The Frost Howler is not just a spirit of the Arctic. It is the very embodiment of the northern lights, a being of pure energy and light that finds expression in the shimmering fur and haunting howl. It is the voice of the Arctic, a cry that echoes across the ice fields, a song that resonates in the depths of our souls. For centuries it has walked the earth, a silent witness to the passage of time, a guardian of the eternal winter. As I watch it disappear into the swirling snow, I feel a sense of awe and wonder at the mysteries that still exist in our world. The Frost Howler may forever remain an enigma, a creature of myth and legend, but its haunting presence will forever be etched in my memory, a reminder of the wild beauty and untamed spirit of the Arctic wastelands. I stood there for a long time watching where it had disappeared, my mind racing. Then slowly, very slowly, I began to walk back to the cabin. As I moved through the knee-deep snow, I couldn't help but feel that I was being watched. Every shadow seemed to hold a lurking danger. Every ice crystal glittered with a menacing light. The forest was silent, too silent. The wind that had been howling all day had died down to a whisper, and even the lapping of the waves was hushed. I broke into a run, my heart pounding in my chest. I could feel the creature's eyes boring into my back, and I imagined its ghostly paws hitting the frozen ground behind me, getting closer. Just a little closer. When I finally reached the safety of my cabin, I slammed the door shut and locked it tight. I threw myself into a chair, gasping for breath, trying to calm the wild hammering of my heart. But the fear that had gripped me was unlike anything I'd ever known. It wasn't the fear of being stalked by a predator, but something far more primal, the fear of the unknown, the dread of something ancient and powerful that I could not comprehend. I spent the rest of the night huddled in the corner of the cabin, listening to the wind and the waves, waiting for the first hint of dawn. As the first pale fingers of sunlight crept through the cracks in the walls, I forced myself to get up. I stumbled to the window and looked out at the endless expanse of snow and ice. There was no sign of the creature, but I knew it was out there, watching me, waiting for me to step outside again. I felt a strange compulsion to do just that, to go out and face whatever horrors awaited me in the frozen wasteland. But something, perhaps the memory of the terror that had gripped me the night before, held me back. I stayed inside, my prison of safety, watching the sun rise over the Arctic Circle. And as the day wore on, the fear began to recede, replaced by a sense of weary resignation. I knew that I could never stay in that cabin, not while the creature lurked outside, waiting for me. I had to leave, but I also knew that I could never go back. The Arctic Circle had become my prison, a frozen tomb from which there was no escape. So when the night fell and the northern lights danced across the sky, I did the only thing I could. I took a sled and a rifle and headed out into the blizzard, away from the cabin, away from everything that had become my life on the tundra. I kept running until my lungs burned and my legs screamed for mercy. I didn't stop even when the blizzard turned to a howling storm, lashing rain and wind against my face. I ran until I collapsed, my body a broken, bleeding mess, my spirit utterly defeated. And as I lay there on the cold, wet ground, I looked up at the sky and saw the creature. It stood silhouetted against the lightning-strewn sky, its eyes blazing with triumphant malevolence. It had won, I had lost. And as the storm raged around me, I knew that I would never be safe again. The Arctic had claimed me, and there was no escape from its icy grip.